Yeah. Yeah, we're good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're good, ladies. We'll start. Does everybody have a binder who needs a binder?
Catherine's is still in progress.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have one, Marissa? From this one?
From this course?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I, maybe I could just photocopy yours?
You can do that, except for you'll need to print out the homeworks and quizzes because you can't copy those from me. But we can send it to the print shop right on Hastings too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Let's do that. Okay. Lara, do you want to start us? Sashibhuki Chokshimeitom Trarirabling Nyandegen Padin Sange Shindu Miktenumar Gindrokunamla Shingla Chupasho Churan Suki Choknamla Janchu Bardu Dakni Kapsuchi Laki Jinin Nipe Sunamki Roa Penchir Sange Drupasho Sange Churan Suki Choknamla Janchu Bardu Dakni Kapsuchi Laki Jinin Nipe Sunamki Roa Penchir Sange Drupasho Sange Churan Saki Choknamla Jantu Badru Dakni Kapsuchi Laki Jinyan Gimpe Sunamki Drola Penchir Sange Drupasho. So in these classes, how I like to operate is that you hand in your homework every week to help you because it's hard to catch up when you... Do you mind moving that way?
Oh no, there's nobody sitting.
Yeah, nobody's sitting there.
Yeah.
I don't know, I
Do you
just
wanna
feel
make
like
one
I should
for
move
Mom?
because everybody is over there.
Okay,
Feels weird.
okay, I can see.
Perfect.
Should we hand our
Feels more
homework to
balanced.
you, or you?
Yeah, I can mark it. Yeah, I'd like to have it every week. And then if you're doing 2 courses, then please don't overwhelm yourself and do what you can. Don't, like, there's no need to burn out and try to cram it all in. But if you can, great. If not, then that's fine. But if you're doing 1 course, then you should be able to hand in homeworks every week, I'd say. And I'm not going to ask you about it. I'm not going to bug you about it. You know, it's your responsibility. It's up to you. But it would be great if you could do that. And then the quizzes also. And then the final, you know, if you like, we can set a date and make it like a deadline. If you like, you don't have to. But we can do that. I know some people like to operate that way. Yeah. So this class, last week we were talking about the preliminaries to meditation, and I outlined them in the end, but we didn't go into them. So we'll do that today. And there are 6 preliminaries to meditation. And of those 6, there's going to be, I think, number 5. Yeah, number 5 of those 6 is going to have 7 ingredients. So there's going to be a list within the list, which, you know, the Palinians likes to do that. Lots of lists. But it's helpful. This is quite an important class, I'd say. Because really, it's like if you're going to run a long distance or whatever, you warm up first. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're learning this class, is like how to warm up for your meditation in order to have a successful meditation. They say you should never just meditate without doing these preliminaries. And they don't have to take that long. Maybe, actually you should be able to move through them quite quickly. Maybe 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes on the preliminaries, and then you do your meditation. And depending on, you know, where you're at right now, will be how long your meditation after your preliminaries will be. Geshe Michael Roach always talks about, you know, it should be minimum an hour, but he also says that that can be too long. There's no point in sitting if you're half spaced out, thinking about other things, distracted, or feeling dull, right? It's better to have a few minutes of really intense focus, concentrated, being on your object for a short period of time, rather than sitting for 4 hours in a state of dullness, right? So he said that he mentions a few different names. I cannot recall them at the top of my head, but he says, you know, they say like do 12-minute sessions, which could be like 12 minutes for the preliminaries, then 12 minutes for your actual meditation. Like in between those 12 minutes you can get up and stretch and then sit down again and do as many 12-minute sessions as you have time for or feel like sharp for, right? So that's an option. Here at the Shamatha Sundays we've done 24-minute sessions. That's nice too. So yeah, you can kind of see what works for you. I think it's very important to set a regular time for your meditation. Personally, I like to meditate in the morning after I bring my kids to school, and I'm like, you know, all the craziness is done, and I have my cup of tea and I sit down. That's my favorite time of day, because at night I'm tired, I can't really, you know, I'm kind of sleepy. And I think most people are, whether, you know, you work all day, kids, whatever it is you do, most people aren't that sharp at night. Although it can be nice to do meditation. If it works for you at night, great, do it, please. But it's would be great if you can find this time that works for you and try to do it every day at the same time. Then you're going to yearn for it at that time. Yeah.
I just find that like setting a time has really worked for me. I do it in the morning as well, and I'm kind of at that point where I really feel like I really want to sit down and meditate, so it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm so grateful for this class because I also need a lot of help with meditation too. So I don't know how successful the meditation is, but it's...
Oh, I would say if you sit down every day, then you are successful already.
Since August 24th, so...
Awesome.
Yeah, it's in 1 month, so but it's really...
That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just to let me release.
Very nice. Well, I think you'll learn a lot in these classes. It's very sweet. the reading for this class was blowing my mind. It's so beautiful. It's ridiculous. I was just sitting there almost crying this morning because I thought it was so profound. Really, really beautiful and very helpful, I think. Okay, so yeah, so find this time, and if you haven't tried before, you should try one time to do it like really early. Get up at 4 or something, and you'll see that it's your meditation is very different too. Because I don't know, maybe I don't know why that is. Because you just woken up when you're in this very relaxed state. I guess you haven't really started your day or nothing. In retreat, that's how it's often done, right? You start your first session at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then the next one at 8, 12, 3, something like that. No, that's not true.
4 sessions.
4 sessions a
sessions
day.
in a day.
You start at 4 in the morning, then the
Then
next
it's
one's
10, I think 10.
10, then you have a big break.
Yeah,
then
then
at
3 and
3
6
or
or
4,
something.
and then
Yeah,
at 8, yeah.
7. Yeah.
But it's nice. It's very different to start early, and I quite liked it. Actually. So, what one need? Yeah. Let's see. The source of this class is the Lamrim Chenmo by Jason Kappa. And as far as I can understand, he's compiled a whole bunch of texts into this. And one of the books that's in here is the Prayer of Samantabhadra, which is used for the 7 ingredients that we're going into, which would be part number 5, right? Of the preliminaries. So this prayer is amazing. It's really beautiful. Lamrim Chenmo by Jason Kappa. Who remembers the dates of Jason Kappa?
I think it's 1357 to 1419.
Yes.
Great, great.
Awesome.
Very good. I find it like of all the dates that we need to memorize, it's the only one I can remember. Because
the
of
one that I
the
remember.
uneven numbers. 1, 3, 5, 7, right? It's very easy to remember. And then the 1419 comes automatically after. Yeah, so you should know those dates. And he's a very important figure in this lineage. Right? Lots of what we study comes from him, so you should know. So the Lamrim Chenmo, the translation of that would be the great book of the steps to enlightenment. And apparently there's also some things taken out of the liberation of the palm, in the palm of your hands by Prabhupada Rinpoche. That's not in the homework though. I will have some of the preliminaries in there. So the first preliminary actually yeah. It's clean up your meditation space. Clean up and set up your altar. That's number 1. So what does that mean? You need to have a space. Otherwise you can't clean it up. So it would be really great if you can dedicate a little corner of your house where you're going to sit and meditate. And it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't need to be a whole room. I mean, it's great if it could be, but it's fine if it's not. It can just be a little corner somewhere. Sometimes people put up a curtain to kind of divide it. Don't have to, there's no rules but just have a space where you know this is where I'm going to sit. And then before you sit down, you tidy up, you sweep the floor, and you clean your altar, maybe you dust it, or make it all tidy. And if you do this every day, it's not going to get really dirty. It's more of the going through the motion of doing it, preparing. It's already preparing your mind for meditation. While you do it, you can think that you're cleaning your mind, you're purifying your mind by sweeping the dust. So then having an altar is part of this. I don't know if you had a look at this altar before, but what there's generally in this tradition on an altar is a representation of your lama, like a picture. An image of the Buddha, see very often too, in some form or the other. A piece of holy scripture, you can see that, it's wrapped in a scarf, in a white scarf. And this one has the little stupa. The stupa represents the body, mind, speech of a holy being.
What is that? Is that that metal thing?
Yeah,
Huh?
I think that's what that is. I assume that's what that is.
Is it pronounced Utha?
Yeah. But to be honest, my altar doesn't have it, and I haven't seen like a stupa on any of my Dharma friends' altar. But here it is mentioned, so so I'm mentioning it. I think, the reason for me not to feel the need to have it is because I have a picture of my Holy Lama, and he is for me the embodiment of, the holy body, mind, speech of the Buddha. That's what he is to me, so it's kind
Body,
of...
mind, speech.
Sorry?
Body, mind, speech, did you say?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So then there's the little offering bowls that we're going to get into in a moment. What's pointed out here is that when you have a picture of a holy being on your altar, don't mistake it for the real thing. Like the real thing is like millions times more powerful, right? And he says that he's scared that many people might use the image that they have on the altar in their meditations as like a 2D picture versus visualizing like a being that's living, breathing, is there, has warmth, and is, real. So he's like, don't see it as a flat image. Don't do that. Because real meditation doesn't happen in your eyeball, It happens deep in your mind. So it's just a representation of a much higher thing. So just keep that in mind, right? And it's beautiful. You should have an image or picture or something, but make sure you don't mistake it for the real thing. So he said before you even start doing this, when you wake up in the morning, you should clean your mouth. Maybe brush your teeth and clean your nose. He says in the monastery you hear all these horrible sounds at 5 in the morning because they're all cleaning all their parts. But they're supposed to do that, right? 'Cause they are you're setting yourself up again. It's part of purification, part of getting ready. Have a little drink, but nothing that has to make your stomach work too hard. So maybe some weak tea or a bit of juice or something. But this would be if you do it in the morning, right? Personally, I like meditating when I haven't eaten anything yet. But again, I guess that's personal. So that's the first preliminary. You clean up. You set up your altar. What they do is they like to put like an offering on the altar also when you set it up. Flowers or 3 cookies stacked. And they like to have those cookies near white because it represents purity. Okay, so the offering bowls. And that's the second preliminary. You're going to set up your offering bowls. And you can use 7 little cups of any kind. We have the pretty ones here that I've ordered them online from a place in the States somewhere. It's nice, they're fancy. But anything will do, it doesn't matter. Just have some nice little cups. And they represent offering to the 5 senses. So we're offering to all the holy beings, and we're invoking them, right, to come, all the holy Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and we're making them offerings. So we're making them offerings through these little bowls. The way that I should have brought a set, but so when you don't use them, you have them stacked up, face down, and then when you're going to use them, you're going to take the first empty bowl, put it on the left side of your altar. You fill it up with water, and then you take the second bowl and you pour most of the water from the first bowl into the second bowl, but you leave a little bit, and then you place that one down. So then with the second one, you do the same. You grab the third one, you pour most of it in that one, and you place the second one down, and you grab the fourth one, so on, okay? It represents passing on the lineage by pouring it. Yeah. Each of them, sometimes there's 8 actually. Each of them represents what you're offering. So the first one, the first thing you do in ancient India when someone comes to your house is you offer them water. You offer them something to drink. Okay, so the first bowl is you're offering water, drinking water. Then the second one represents washing their feet. And, that's considered a big offering in a hot country, in India, where they all walk on sandals and stuff on these really dirty streets. It's very beautiful to wash someone's feet. I remember when I was traveling in Indonesia, I was talking to this guy who was Muslim, and he would, once a year, he would wash his mom's feet, and he would then drink the water. I think it's beautiful. I think it's very humbling, putting someone much higher than yourself, right? So that's what we're doing for these holy beings. We're asking them, we're invoking them to help us, so we're offering them things. So we have water for drinking, water for washing their feet. And then the next one is we offering them flowers. So the next water bowl represents flowers. Then as you pour your next bowl, This one represents incense.
Is that the fourth bowl?
Yeah. So we have offering to taste, touch, sight, smell, right? And the next one is offering an oil lamp or light. So you're offering light. Then the next one is ointments for the body, oils for the body. Like perfume, again for a sense of smell. And then the last bowl is for food. You offer them food.
Did you say it out loud when you're...
Sure. You can. Don't have to. Probably be helpful in the beginning to help you remember them all. And then the eighth one, there's 7 here, but you can add an 8th one, or you can put something that represents the 8th one. That's music. So on my altar, I just have this little, how do you call it for a guitar? The little.
Strumming.
Sorry.
The strumming.
Yeah,
Guitar pick?
the pick. Yeah, so I have a little pick on my altar. That's how I cover number 8. But I've seen like little bells or something. You know, little bells. I've seen that. Yeah. So that's nice. It's optional. So we had water for drinking, water for washing your feet. What's the next one?
Flowers.
Flowers,
Incense.
incense,
Light.
Fragrance.
Perfume.
yeah,
Food.
and food. Yeah, beautiful. So you set out these bowls and you can leave them all day, and then before you go to bed you dump them out. It's also, by the way, nice to first wipe out your bowls before you set them out. I always do that. Just give them a little wipe before I put them out. Yeah.
And you've been pouring the water,
Mm-hmm.
so the end bowl will have a lot of water in it? So then what do you
No, okay, sorry. Yeah, thank you for asking that, because we were pouring them from one to the next, right? So they all have this little layer in it, but indeed the last one has more.
do? Uh-huh.
Then you take your jug of water and you top them all up,
Okay.
all of them,
Okay.
to the very top. And we don't want to do it too low because that represents scarcity. We want like abundance. We
Overflow.
want to give. Yeah, that's why I said before, right?
Yeah.
Pour it full. Yeah, thank you for saying that. So you have these very full cups. So you leave them there for your whole meditation, for your whole day. At the end of the day, you dump them out. But you don't dump them through the drain or where someone might walk or something, because it's holy water now. So what do you do with holy water? I guess you could drink it, yeah? Or you could water your plants with it, or put it in a big body of water like the ocean or lake or something like that.
So you're not putting the stuff in the bowls then? Because they've got stuff
No, at your home, generally no. You could.
there. So the stuff just goes on the altar around there?
No, you don't. The water represents all the stuff. The water represents it. You don't need to actually put these things on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And the reason why they choose water is because it's cheap. Everybody has water, right?
Gotcha.
And one of the things is when you offer, you don't ever want to regret what you offer, and chances are pretty slim that you will have such a feeling when you offer water, right? That's one of the reasons. It's also because it's clear, right? It represents emptiness.
So So what do you mean you regret? Like if I offer
Oh.
flowers, then I might regret offering them flowers?
Yeah, maybe because they cost too much money or something like that.
Oh,
you
I
know,
see.
people offer
Oh, you
crazy
want a
things
dog.
to llamas. People buy houses and cars, and then a week later they're like, "Oh, darn it, why did I do that?" So that's not good. That's really not good.
Okay, gotcha.
If you have a good llama, they would say, "You know what? Ask me or offer me again in 6 months if you still want to do it, right?"
Yeah.
And before you make such a crazy offering. So water is pretty safe thing to offer. If you go and retreat, then because you'll be doing 4 meditations a day, we've been told to then do it like this. So fill them with rice, bring little things that represents each of the things, and leave the first 2 cups empty for water. So you fill those 2 cups in the morning, and the rest you set up for the whole week or month or whatever, how long you do retreat for. So you can fill them up with rice and then add some incense sticks. Custom is to put 2 incense sticks in, by the way. And it's tricky to keep them up straight. You can spend a long time trying to make them perfect.
Can you use cones?
Sure.
Cones?
I think so. I think so. It's not mentioned. So when you set the bowls, make sure that they're in a straight line, and you put about a grain of rice. That's how much distance you want in between each of them.
And are they all on the left rice cups, so they're in a line?
You start at the left when you put them down.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Tibetan word for altar, which I'm actually not sure what that word is, but it means support for the Buddha's body, speech, and mind. So that's what it means.
The bowls, the support?
The altar.
The altar.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you pour them out. And to dry them out, you can maybe just kind of like lean them on each other. So somebody asks if it's inappropriate to not change the water every day, to keep it for a couple days, and he says, yeah, don't do that. That would be like offering the Dalai Lama a stale donut or something like that. So don't do that. So we start fresh every day. So then the third preliminary, so right before you sit down, because we've cleaned everything, we've set up the altar, we've set up the bowls, then you can do 3 prostrations before you sit down.
Just ask you a question. So you said this is a third preliminary. So
Yeah.
the first one is cleaning, the second one is the bowls?
Offerings, making
Okay,
offerings,
okay.
yeah. So you do your prostrations, Then you sit down. So that's the third one, your posture.
Oh, there is 3 prostrations or the posture?
It's here. It says posture is the
Posture.
third one.
Okay.
But he mentions before you sit down, you prostrate.
Mm-hmm.
And the posture it's going to get its own class, so we're not going into that right now. But ideally, you sit in full lotus because it sets your body like in perfect alignment, which is very conducive for a good meditation. If you can't do full lotus, which most people can't, half lotus is okay too. I read this morning in the scripture. Like, okay, great. If you can't do that, like I can't really, maybe for a couple minutes, but then I think it's okay to sit however you can. You can sit in a chair if you had to. But if you can, try to sit in full lotus or half lotus if it's not excruciating to you.
Is there any preliminary physical warm-ups before actually sitting? Because I know in yoga, the meditation is done after you do your asana practice, right? And then you sit. I'm just wondering if there's any...
It's not mentioned here.
No.
No. This is how you start your day. Yeah, you roll out of bed, you clean your mouth and your nose, and you go straight into cleaning your room and going into this. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't do your yoga first if that works better for you, or your pranayama. Yeah. I mean, there's no... That's fine. If that works for you, right? So as you... this is part of number 3 too, that you go for refuge. And you go for refuge and you generate bodhicitta. So you're asking for help. You have in mind all living beings. You want to become pure. You want to get yourself out of the way so you are able to help other people without always having to think about your own needs. Now he's saying, like, if you don't have to think about all living beings, you can make it smaller. You can think about, the people in your workplace, do it for them, And by going for refuge, you can, the highest thing to go for refuge to is emptiness. So by going for refuge, you can do like a 1-minute quick thing, bring up a situation, and think about something of your daily life, right? Maybe this person yelled at you, and you can see that it wasn't that. You can see that it's coming from you. That the reason why you see this person doing the things he does is because of your karma, because of your past deeds, and by understanding that, you decide not to yell back. And by not yelling back, you are breaking the cycle of samsara, right? You are going, I like always to think of a bicycle wheel with all the spokes, and you stick a stick through it, right? You stop it. Because if you would yell back and you would blame that person for being such a dick, then you're going to continue it, right? That's how you create all your pain, is by thinking they're out there doing things to you, and by working it the opposite way, you are creating your Buddha paradise. So that could be going for refuge, just like a small thought like that. understanding emptiness, trying to understand emptiness. That could be one way of going for refuge. Another way of going for refuge is, of course, thinking of holy beings that you have in your life, who represent compassion and wisdom. And you're putting yourself in their care and putting your trust in them. And they can help you understand emptiness. So like that. So that was number 3.
I just want to ask there.
Yeah.
I know in Buddhism the concept of God doesn't really come up, but if I'm going to go into meditation, I put my trust in the Buddha and holy beings that I know, and then say ultimately in the divine, in God, the way I see God. Is that acceptable to say?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Just putting my trusting not only in the holy beings that I see in my life and those that I've studied, but also in the supreme holy being, the divine. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that works, as long as you can try to understand the emptiness of the divine. Right?
Yeah. I know the divine. I know I'm responsible for my karma, so I'm not saying that the God in this situation is created my karma. I realize that my karma is created by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't ultimately get around this God concept. Like, I still feel there's an external God, internal God, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a God.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. But try to understand that the reason why you see that is your
My projection.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
your projection.
I
And
understand that.
I think it can function.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have something similar because I have, a history of a religion behind,
Mm-hmm.
that I was raised with, and some of the teachings and some of the people who are the teachers, in my mind, are higher beings for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I might choose to put a picture of them on the altar. But they're not of Buddha's lineage,
No.
right? Or maybe they are, and
Of course.
they don't call themselves Buddhists, but they would call themselves.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
not limited to,
Yeah.
you can put a picture of Brad Pitt up there if that's who,
Yeah. The guru is,
if that's who you see as the holiest being,
Mhm.
Of course.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they don't call themselves bodhisattvas or Buddhas. I mean, you are creating them. If the more holy beings you can see in your world, the better. Yeah, it doesn't need to be limited to Buddhism.
Mhm.
No, everything, your whole world, your
Yeah.
whole past, like Yeah. Okay, so here, this wasn't in the audio. So the 2 states of mind inside of bodhicitta is what we talked about in ACI3, if you recall. First part is fear of death, and the second part is you want to go to somebody for help. Do you recall that? So, right, that's the form of refuge, bodhicitta. So the bodhicitta, really, you're going into this meditation with the intention to help other people, right? That's the ultimate goal of becoming enlightened. So that would be great if you can generate that feeling of wanting to help other people, having that intention. The desire to reach paradise where you can help other people. Even if you think about that for 30 seconds, it has tremendous power. It really does. You won't reach the final goal if you don't have such thoughts, actually. Alright, so that was number 3. So we have clean up, tidy the room, offerings, then the third one's posture. The fourth one is visualize the merit field. And there's many different ways of doing that.
Visualize the merit, did you say?
Merit field.
Merit field.
So merit field, you could see a garden, right? The people you make merit with. It actually can be anything. It can be, your family, or your work situation, like all the places where you plant your seeds is like your whole world becomes a merit field. However, in this case, like setting up your merit field, there's different levels, right? To do a good deed for a dog is different kind of virtue than to do a good deed to a human, to a dharma friend, right? So there's more virtue when you choose a high object to make merit with. And at some point maybe you see other beings all as holy beings, and then everything will be very, very high merit. But until you do choose, a teacher always is would be the highest person, And it doesn't have to be one teacher, but the holy beings in your life. You can see them in front of you, right? If your Lama represents the Buddha to you, then that merit is off the charts. Parents are regarded as very high objects too, because of them you're here. And you have the chance to become enlightened. So they're also very high.
What about your children?
Well, they're not as high, but they're sure.
Because they're the ones that, in my world, that's where I get to practice the virtues, right? Where I get triggered the most. And
in the traditional list, kids are not on.
Okay.
But I did hear that mother's love for a child is the closest thing to bodhicitta. And if you can learn to cultivate that love towards all beings, then that's what it would feel like. So I think children can be, if it's...
I do believe that is true, absolutely. But in terms of the highest, it would be always like the teacher, right? Your root Lama, for sure. And then your parents are way up there, because without them you wouldn't have the chance to even do this. And then of course the people that are close in your life, like your kids, kids are amazing, giving you amazing opportunities all day long, right? So of course they would be a high object, I think, potentially, for sure.
You can constitute anyone as your teacher.
It's true.
Right? Because I had I've never felt it, like I've always tried to intellectualize it, but I had a moment a couple weeks ago, and it was very special, where my husband asked me to move a chair for him, I actually had this feeling in my heart as if he was my teacher, who I have a guru, and I moved it like that for him, and it was the first time I've actually had a direct experience of
Respect.
how anyone can be like that. So
It's beautiful. And in the tantric teachings, that's what you do. That's what you do all the time. Like everything becomes a teaching. Everybody is your teacher. So that's what we're working towards, is that. Yeah. And when you see your husband like that, I mean, oh my God. I mean, that will shift your whole world. If you could see him like that all the time, you know? It's crazy. It's very different than just seeing a husband who orders you around to move a chair, you know? I mean, it's a karma to see him like he's helping you by giving you an opportunity to create good virtue, right? So it's very beautiful. It's very beautiful. Yeah, and that's what we want all the time. Yeah, we want to serve people like that. Absolutely. So what you can do is, like, when you visualize this merit field, is put your lama, because there's so many teachers, like I shoved them all into one. Right? There's so many amazing people that I look up to, words, and yeah, why not? I mean, you can be creative and just have just a teeny little being or a huge being, doesn't matter. You can play with that too. See it in front of you, representing all the holy beings that there ever were. So it's very important when you set this up that you see them as perfect. And you know, some people cannot see their lama or their teachers as perfect. They detect some faults, and when you visualize them like that, don't just make them perfect. Make them really good looking, you know, long voluminous hair, whatever it is that, you know, you find beautiful and attractive. They always say in the scriptures, like, young, picture them as 16 or something. For me personally, I don't find that the most attractive thing, but you know, if that works for you, you should, like, young, vibrant, beautiful, but make them real, right? Not a flat image, what I talked about earlier. See them as alive, breathing, warm. You can feel your breath on your skin, like that. So no defects. Don't see. Okay. So again, it's okay if you don't have one lama right now. That's fine. You can put a whole bunch of people there. Or like I said, you can pick one of those beautiful teachers and then put all the other ones in there, right? You can be creative. Okay. So now we're going to number 5. And that is purifying obstacles. Do we need a couple minutes break? Yeah? Okay, let's do that. Have a little stretch before we move in our next list.
I just wanted to ask Mariska, in number 5, how many?
7.
7 in number 5.
That's these ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I apologize. And I'll figure it out.
Is there more spare paper in the...
I have some more if you want another piece.
Thank you. I'm such a huge writer.
No problem.
Can I get one more?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I give it to you.
No problem.
Don't worry about it.
I might just have to go put some more money in the meter.
Sure.
Should probably do that now.
I've got to do it at 2 o'clock, but I put mine on the phone so that they text me.
Does this class end around 2:30?
Well, my hope's supposed to have it from 12:30 till 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But we started late because of all the computer stuff. So we'll see. I might be able to end at 2, but it might be a little bit later. Yeah.
How did you get that figured out? Eventually, so that, like, if I come and set it up, then I know what to do. Maybe Lauren
I
can
think
help me.
Lauren's
Yeah.
I'll definitely never go over 2:30. Yeah. So we gotta get our kids at 3. So.
Does that give you enough time to go across town? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Just.
Just right. I'm
Yeah.
thinking the same thing because when I go up Canby here, there's so much congestion. I just get there barely with 5 minutes to spare.
Yeah,
Sometimes
but
I'm
ideally
cycling my
we will
time.
be done around 2 normally.
How do you cycle back in that time? Wow.
Fast. No.
Amazing.
Actually, sometimes cycling is as quick as driving, or quicker.
Sometimes quicker.
You don't have to deal with parking
Wow.
or.
In rush hour, it's quicker usually.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom that. Cycling. I didn't learn to cycle until I was actually pregnant with my first child.
Well, let's go cycling one day. Just easy. Easy cycling. I'll come pick you up.
No.
Do you have a
that's okay.
bike?
I have a bike, it's with my ex, with Bill, but no, I haven't
It's
cycled.
nice to cycle in flat area.
Mhm.
I'm from
Yeah.
Holland, and that's all I ever did, right?
Yeah.
Only on flat surfaces.
The last time I cycled, like I said, I cycled with Natasha. It was like
What's it going on?
19 years ago.
Oh, really? That's a long time. It's fun. You know where it's really fun to cycle? In Steveston, in Richmond. So
Yeah.
nice there.
Along the dike.
Yeah.
The dike is nice. I'll run along. I'll walk.
Okay. So, the first one,
The first of the 5, first of the 7,
first of the 7 of the 5, is chaksal. Say chaksal.
Chaksal.
That means prostration. But if you remember, we already did our prostrations physically, so now we can do it mentally. Okay, there's not much else said about that. So you just bow down to the goodness of your teachers. Right? And then the second one is chupa. Say chupa. That means offerings. And this is fun because you can do anything right here, right? You can offer them anything in your mind. Sky filled with flowers, diamond rain, you know, pools filled with jewels, beautiful views, mountains, warm
Beautiful
sunshine, beautiful
thought.
beautiful thoughts. You can be as creative as you like. I love doing that. I really enjoy it because don't need anything material. Like, you can use your mind to go crazy and create the most beautiful things, right? Now, what is the highest thing you could offer? Like, if you say, at work, someone's pissing you off, and in your mind, you know that you're losing your patience, but you are going to keep your patience, and you're not going to be lean back, and you keep your patience for 2 minutes. That would be a greater offering to a holy being than all the jewels in the world, right? Because you are reversing samsara. Your practice is the highest offering you could ever give, because you want to become an enlightened being. I mean, it doesn't get, an offering can't get better than that.
I have a question around, let's say my child is doing something and I'm disappointed, but instead of yelling at her, I'm going to say, I'm disappointed that you did blank. Because I want her to know that I am disappointed by what she does, but I'm not yelling at her. So the fact that I can say that doesn't create bad karma. But if I was to yell at her, whatever, that's going to create the bad karma. Is that right?
Well, it has to do with your intention too. You can say to her, I'm really disappointed in you, but on the inside you're freaking out and you're screaming.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still, it would be better than screaming.
Yeah.
To keep, your mouth shut. But really, it has to do with your intention. I mean, of course, you want to teach her what you feel is right for her to learn, and what will help her.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing, of course. Yeah. But it's always about the intention that you have behind it. Is your motivation pure? Do you want to help her, or are you saying something because you're angry? What's behind it? That's what you need to investigate. And
Well, I think my motivation is, one, I want her to know that I am disappointed, that what she did was not right. But the other part of it is, there are times when I am freaking out, but I'm trying to keep a lid on it. And the best I can do is, I'm disappointed in what just happened.
Yeah, but I think that's beautiful too.
And just leave it at that, rather than, what are you doing again?
That can definitely be an offering like that, when you are really angry, but you're not freaking out on her.
Because I get confused when they talk about the mental afflictions, because at my stage of development, I do feel those mental afflictions, and I find that they're not in my control on the inside. They are under control on the outside. So how I present myself outside isn't always indicative of what's going on inside.
Sure. Well, I think you are helping yourself by not, letting them go out too much, because that can create some damage too. And of course you're going to have mental afflictions. Everybody has mental afflictions up until the very end, when, until you've discarded every last one of them and you've reached nirvana. So everybody's going to have them, and no, you cannot control the feeling that you're having. If it's coming, it's coming. You cannot stop it, right? But you do have the choice of what you're going to do with it. Are you going to be swept away by it and get lost in anger? Or can you try to hold back and apply wisdom to it? Can you convince yourself, you can have a debate with yourself. Can this anger really come from this child? Can she cause that? or is it working a different way, right? Like you can investigate that, and it's very powerful, you know, if you start to think about the emptiness of it, why you're experiencing anger. And could she do the exact same thing tomorrow and you not feel that way? Could that be possible, you know? And most likely the answer is yes. And then how does that work? So it can come from her. So it wasn't her, you know? Oh, it wasn't me. Something, for some reason, I'm forced to feel angry right now in this second. But I know that potentially I could not be bothered by this behavior at all, right? So, you know, thinking like that, yeah, and that can be a beautiful offering right here in our number 2 offerings. Yeah. So practice is the highest offering you could offer to your teacher.
I have this thing that I used to do with my 6 times book that kind of became a mental habit, is that because it used to happen with one particular person I was having difficulty with, so every time I would get caught in that whirlwind of something, I would then sit down and you know, in terms of anecdote, I would write a list actually of all her good qualities, and then I would just find it would transform my feeling. And I think, you know, if you do that often enough, it just becomes a habit that you think of something and then you just train yourself to do the anecdote.
Yeah.
You know, so then it kind of transforms that inner state somehow. I do it when I'm feeling grumpy.
Yeah.
Like I feel like somehow everything's wrong in the world and everything's negative, and I'll just sit down and I'll write a list of all the beautiful things in my life, and I can literally feel my inner state change. And then you feel the sense of just a subtle feeling of
Contentment.
yeah. And then you can kind of just stay in that feeling.
It does work.
It doesn't always work, but it can definitely work, and it's a beautiful thing to do because you're planting seeds for the future that will ripen, right? So anytime you can look for beautiful things in your world is going to benefit you for sure, and especially looking for things that are beautiful that are hard, because when you're feeling really grumpy, it's kind of the last thing you want to do is trying to, you kind of want to stew in that and stay in there for whatever wacky reason I never understand like how that works, but you want to stay in there for some reason. So it takes actually a lot of willpower to do the opposite and sit down and write your beautiful list. And it's amazing if you can do that, and you should try to do that, absolutely. Now, do you have the karma for it to shift? You might not, right? It might work 9 out of 10 times, it might not. It really depends on your karma. But like I said, it would never hurt, because nothing negative could ever come of such beautiful things, right? And yeah, maybe it will affect your wins when you sit down quietly and do the opposite type of thing. And your 6 times book is amazing for any of the things that you feel like, I want to work on this. You know, I had personally major jealousy issues that I really did not want anymore. So every day in my 6 times book, 6 times a day, I was attacking my jealousy, and that's how you'll get rid of it. It might first come on stronger, but then it will clear out. Yeah. So your 6 times book is amazing for anything that you want to work on, whether it be anger or insecurity or jealousy, whatever you have your special flavor at that time. Yeah.
Just like even bad thoughts, like just not actions, but just, you know, even your thoughts are seeds, right? So lots of times I just have negative thoughts about everything. Does anybody else ever experience that? Just
You know,
negative,
but again,
and then I really try and just, you know, no, Mr. Karma, no, and then I try and change it, right? I try and just, or Ms. Karma, or however that works.
but you know, all this stuff needs to come up because you're purifying, right?
Okay.
So all your uglies need to come out,
Yeah.
and by looking at it and seeing that that is your karma coming, forcing you to feel this way, you are purifying, right? So it's really beautiful, and yeah, if you can stop it, it would be great. If you can put something beautiful
So,
in it in the place.
so for example, like what would you do if you had like an ongoing thing like that, and where you just, you know, and then you wanted to stop it, so you just stop it, and then you just picture or think of all the beautiful, amazing things that I do have in my life. Okay, so it's just changing. that thought
And
into
just
a
let it go, you know, let it come and watch
Yeah.
it, and try not to be taken and swept in the story, right? That's the thing.
Don't believe the
Because if the
story.
story grabs you,
Yeah.
you're toast. It's
Yeah.
really hard to get out of it, right?
And
so can
ego
you
will
stop
justify
before?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just see it come and see it go. Like I was, and last week I was going to the superstore and I had this really yucky thought come up, and I don't, like, there was no reason for it. It was about nothing. Like a bag of chips fell out of my cart and somebody just walked by and they didn't pick it up, and somehow I had this really angry thought of, you know, you should have picked it up or something. I don't know. I don't even know. But it just comes up, right? And I'm just watching it. I'm like, whoa. And then that's it, you know? I'm not going into that story. I recognize, like, holy, okay, well, this is just a result of my karma. It's just something yucky that needs to go. And by looking at it, by not believing it, just seeing it come and go, and I know that it's just a result of my past deeds, and that it absolutely had nothing to do with the lady who was walking by, you know, absolutely nothing. Then it's purified. It's good.
I remember I heard Lama Maru talk, and he said, like, if you're having a difficulty, you know, you wish for it to be gone, but you also want to wish for other people's negative thoughts to be, because everyone has them. And then that kind of makes it less about yourself. You're helping
I
others.
think that's very
That's a
nice.
good one.
Yeah,
That's
that
a
is
very
really
good one.
Yeah, it's nice that you brought that up, because and the opposite is so true for that too. Like when you have beautiful thoughts, like this morning I woke up and like it felt like the love for my Lama had just tripled or something, and I didn't know I could even love him any more than I did, and it just, you know, so I had this amazing feeling when I woke up. So then what do? You offer that out, like, may all beings feel this bliss, feel this amazing feeling. Like, I wish that everybody could feel like this all the time, right? And then you so like that. And then the opposite as well. If you have a negative, you wish that everybody will not feel like that. And you can also take it on, like, I'm okay, you know what, today I'm just having a really crappy day, I cannot get out of it, I feel really grumpy or this or that, tired, sick, you know what, I'm feeling this way anyways, why don't I take it on for all beings? People, you know, I'm feeling like hell, I'll take all of yours too, because I'm feeling like this, you know, why not? I'll take it from all of you so you don't have to feel like that. I'll go through it like that. So there's, you know, many beautiful ways that you can use whatever is coming up. Anyways, we should move on. Okay, so the third one is Shakpa. Say Shakpa.
Shakpa.
Is open yourself, meaning confession. So here, after you offer, beautiful things to your teachers, then the next step is to confess. Confess something that, you're not very proud of. Something you did, if possible, in the last 24 hours, something recent, and try to pick something. Like, don't say, I'm kind of like a jealous person, I confess that I am. No, we don't want that. We want to know what yesterday at 2:05 went down, right? I had this jealous attack that, whatever story you have, I can't, it doesn't come right now, but, anything, like, take something like that, something concrete, something like that. Not something wishy-washy kind of general. No, take something and purify it. Look at it, feel regret, not guilt, regret, and, understand the karma and emptiness about this. You realize you made a mistake, and you know that it will hurt you.
So you're doing this before the meditation.
This is all before the meditation. Yeah.
But you're also doing this in the 6 times a book, so you might have already come across it already.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's okay.
I'm sure there's more. One thing that you can because they become more subtle and subtle, right? In the beginning, you might do the physical act of stealing, and then later on, it might be something really subtle,
Yeah.
But you can think of something. So that is number 3. So you confess. So this is, you're purifying, right? The next one is jirangwa. This is rejoicing. And this is great. Buddhism is good at this, right? Geshe Michael was, I thought this was so cute. He was talking about how there's these confession booths in and he said, if Buddhism becomes big, we're going to have a rejoicing booth too. And then somebody will sit in there and, tell, oh great, that's so great that you didn't get angry at that person, whatever it is. I thought that was really cute. So you rejoice in something good that you did, and again, try to be specific, find something. And that's the first part, something that you have done, and then the second part is something that somebody else has done. And, it's really beautiful if you can truly take joy in other people's good deeds. Like, that's a beautiful quality. Beautiful, if you can do that. And they say that if you rejoice in someone else's good deeds, you get 10% of their merit. So there you go. So, and they say it's more powerful when you review what it actually is that you did well and that somebody else did. And I thought that was really funny. Somebody had asked Geshe Michael if the good karma of Buddha is infinite. And he said, yeah. Well, what's 10% of infinite? Something to think about. All right. So then number 5 is Chukor Korwa.
Chukor Korwa.
Which means turn the wheel of Dharma. And this is, you ask for the teachers. You ask for the teachers to teach you. You ask for teachings to come. And then when you go on later in your day and somebody starts yelling at you at the street, then you can think, oh, I asked for teachings. There you go. Cannot be upset about that, right?
So teachings are situations then?
Can be. Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. Because really, what you're learning in all these courses is how to deal with
don't
with
like
all the
teaching.
situations. Sorry,
I don't like.
you don't like that?
Why can't it be just simple, like just sit in meditation? No binders, no homework,
No
quizzes,
children.
nothing.
No, it can be.
Yeah,
It can be
irritating.
simple. I think life becomes much simpler when you start to understand carbon emptiness more and more. Like things don't get to you as much, over time. Things become more and more simple. You hear other people talk and the things they worry about. You're like,
And even you start, being grateful for all those irritating people because they burned your bad karma. And the children that are pushing all your buttons and just, if they're not, then those seeds will sit there. And
so, and what they say is
Yeah.
also that Buddhas can take on any form. So they could take on the form of your child, or the angry man on the street, or whatever. You don't know who they are, right?
What does that exactly mean? So there's my child.
Mm-hmm.
So then suddenly the Buddha has made her say something or do something.
It could be.
Is that
Could
what it
be.
is?
Or they're born as a Buddha.
Okay.
Always been a Buddha, but you haven't had the seeds to see that yet.
Yeah.
Could be like that.
By the way, I adore my kids.
I feel that when Sachoja came into my life, she was a huge teacher. And that's where I feel like I've had to grow the most.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't her, it would be someone else. Right?
It would be, yeah, because everything that you need to purify will come, Yeah. So you ask for teachings, you ask holy beings to teach you.
They'll give it to you even if you don't ask, right?
No getting out of it.
Do I have to ask? Seriously? I don't know.
Yeah, you should ask.
It's a humbleness thing.
Okay.
You should ask. But you know what? By just wishing to become happy and enlightened,
I'll
like
do
all
that.
that comes with the package, right? I mean, you'll need to purify. You need to purify your world, or you cannot see a pure world,
Yeah.
right?
I always think I really love the Bodhisattva vow that you're not allowed to give teachings unless someone asks, because there's a state of receptivity when you ask.
Oh, okay.
And I find if someone doesn't have that state of receptivity, then the ground is not fertile to plant something.
yeah, it's
So I always
wasted.
think of this one as like just becoming receptive in your heart. That the teachings land,
And you are doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been coming to classes, you've been serving like crazy. You are all doing that. You're just scared of the pain, which will become less, and that's fine. You'll need to experience that anyway, so you might as well just get it over with, right?
I'll ask for the teaching in the most compassionate way.
Yeah, well, that's what I often do. I ask
Yeah.
my teacher to teach me gently,
Yeah.
fast but gentle. Like that.
That's a good one. I didn't ask
I like that.
either because I probably thought that they're gentle anyway. So yeah, but it's good. It's good one.
Intense. That's a good one. Good prayer.
What was that, Farah? About fear?
Oh, fears? Oh, teachings can be very unsettling and fierce and intense. So it's a beautiful prayer to ask for.
Yeah, to be
To
gentle.
come in a
yeah.
gentle way, but sometimes there's no other way.
No, it's true.
Sometimes it can't be gentle because maybe there's something kind of stuck that we're not willing to see. And I had a friend who said, sometimes there's a street you don't want to cross, in which case you pray that may you slap me so hard that I land on the other side. So sometimes it has to be like that because we're just not willing to face something in ourselves, and it's got to be
Yeah,
strong.
it's really true.
Or maybe because we haven't been gentle in our previous lives. We've been
Could be, yeah. But I do believe that, yeah, sometimes you need a kick under your butt because you aren't going to do it otherwise. Yeah. Or sometimes, you need to lose everything to gain everything, right? And as painful as that can be, sometimes that's necessary. Yeah. All right, so number 6, Sonja.
Sonja.
Here is you asking your Lama to stay. Ask them not to die. Wish for their long life. Wish that they can stay to keep on guiding you. It's rare, to find teacher, and we easily can take it for granted, and we shouldn't. And with this also comes, also ask for your Dharma friends to stay, because they're very important too, because you might not see your Lama that often. Some people's teachers live in another country. It's like your Sangha, your Dharma friends that will help you stay on the path, right? They keep you straight. So they're just as important, actually, as your teacher in that sense. Because you might see your Dharma friends once a week and your Lama, a couple times a year, who knows? So they're very important, so wish for their long life also. And ask them to stay. Number 7. I don't know how to pronounce it. Ngoa. So this is dedication. And this is actually more for after your meditation. So now is a good time to maybe stretch if you want to stretch, then you start your actual meditation, and after you're done, then you do this number 7. You dedicate the merit of what you've done to, you could, for instance, dedicate it to reaching a perfect state so you can help other people. But you can also dedicate it to, if you have somebody's ill, dedicate, all the good virtue that you've collected to their health, or, somebody who's sad, to their happiness. You can do whatever. You can bank it to different things. Okay, so that is that was the 7 ingredients. And then there's still number 6 of the preliminaries.
Mariska, can you again talk about the dedication, why it's so important?
We're talking about that in one moment.
Oh, okay.
I just want to do number 6.
Okay.
Number 6 of the preliminaries. So we've had, if you remember, clean up and tidy the room. Then you make your offerings. Posture. You visualize the merit field. Then you purify the obstacles, which were these 7. And then number 6 is you request to give you Jinlap, which is the potential to gain high spiritual goals.
So purify obstacle was 5 or 6?
5.
Those list of things was
Under the
in a
5.
5.
That was under 5. Yeah, there were 7 under 5, and now we're
6
at number 6, and that's the last one. So that is, you're requesting holy beings to give you to gain high spiritual goals, to to enable your ability to increase. And it says request to change the ability in every path from simplest beginning to the highest one. So then after you do this, you absorb the being, your teacher, who's been sitting in front of you all this time. You shrink them down and you can put them on top of your head, and then you can have them descend through your central channel and have them nestle in your heart. And you make a nice little place for them there, which can look any way that you want it to look. They can sit on a lotus flower, or you can just make a nice little room, put a hammock there, whatever you want, right? And they sit there, keep blessing you with their wisdom. So that is the 6. And so in the homework there's a question: what is the difference between a prayer and a dedication? Does anybody want to try to answer that?
Prayer is for yourself and a dedication is for others?
It's not to be for yourself. Prayer.
Prayer is asking for something, and the dedication is giving, right?
It's giving.
But then prayer can be of various forms as well, because you can have like a designated prayer, right? And then you can have a prayer where, please God, give me this, that, the other.
So it's more of a general wish to achieve, some spiritual goods for yourself or for other people. The dedication is more like you bank what you just gathered. Because prayer, you can just, I don't know how to say, I see myself as a kid pray to God or whatever, right? I pray for this or that. But it's different in the sense that dedication is you dedicate what you've just done. You dedicate a certain good action, like meditation, or it could be anything. It could be not yelling back at somebody, that you can dedicate that, and you bank it towards a specific goal.
So dedicating the merit that you've done to a higher spiritual goal.
Yeah, you can do it like that. You could dedicate it to the higher purpose of becoming a Buddha for the sake of all beings. You can do it like that. But like I said earlier, you can also do dedications towards someone who's being sick, and you dedicate it so they can be better. But you take this virtue that you've accumulated and you bank. You put it towards something specific.
At the level of thought, is it the same? Like at the level of...
I feel it's quite similar,
Because I'm trying to distinguish on a subtle level what's the difference in terms of...
I think it's kind of an investment.
No, but just at the subtle level of thought, the difference.
You can wish the same, right? You can, yeah.
But I think the first part is that you kind of wanting help, and here you've done, and so prayer is you wish, you ask for help, or you ask for something, and in a thought level. And here you already understand where you've done something good, you understand, and you want to increase, you want to double the effect or something, you want to dedicate that, you want, right,
Yeah, I think
mean,
there's definitely truth to what you're saying. You're using your understanding of karma and emptiness too, and how because it's empty out, it can.
I'm just trying to understand it too on a
Prayer
subtle
too.
level of feeling. Like there's a certain state when we're in a state of prayer where it's not a thinking thing. You're not thinking something, right? It's not a thought state. It's a subtle experience. So what would be the difference on that subtle state of prayer and dedication? I don't know.
I'm not sure either. Let's get back to that next week and think about that a little bit. I'd like to ask Lama John about that and see what his thoughts are on that.
I would think in the Buddha sense, it would be that you dedicate all that you've done to what you've been saying all along,
Mhm.
to end the suffering.
When you say to
Or-
dedicate, are you thinking from a thought? Because I'm not
Yeah,
trying to understand this at the level of thought.
yeah.
I'm trying to understand that, there's a place where you're not thinking, it's not the mental aspect of your being that's involved. It's not like you're thinking, I dedicate this. It's a subtle feeling.
I think it probably becomes a way of being once you've said it enough times, you've thought about it enough times, then
Then
all the time it becomes part of who you are, part of your
and
being.
if it was a
Yeah.
subtle state, then would there be a distinction between
You probably live
prayer
in
and
that
dedication?
space.
Yeah, I think that's very true. By just having, like after you see emptiness directly, you have just that knowing all the time, always about karma and emptiness. So everything is being multiplied, and everything becomes way more powerful. And you don't have to consciously think, I'm going to dedicate this to that. It becomes just a way of being, which you need to practice a lot to reach that place, so it can become an automatic thing, because your understanding of karma and emptiness is so deeply ingrained that it just becomes this way of being, right?
And I don't, you probably won't.
So then I think at that state, that prayer and dedication would be more very close.
Subtle. It
Yeah.
would be very subtle if
Yeah.
if at all there was a difference.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know what.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
I'm kind of
ask.
feel that prayer, you put somebody higher than you and kind of go for refuge and you ask for help. Here, you already you have empowered with that karma and emptiness understanding, and it's like,
Well, there are
Yeah.
some prayers in yoga that are for all beings, right? And I don't know if it's a definition thing, but maybe the difference is, I would like to know the difference. I really, on a subtle level, like how does it feel when it's not a mental thought, but what's the difference as a state of being? What's the difference?
Okay.
I have a suggestion. You heard that prayer by St. Francis of Assisi,
Yeah.
make me an instrument of thy peace.
Yeah.
Would that be,
See, that's something, exactly.
right? 'Cause
Where
at that
the-
point, he's not, I'm here for you.
Right,
Have
where
another
it's not a thought, it's like
living embodiment of it.
the distinction is blurred.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would be very curious to explore that.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's give it some more thought this week, and I'll ask Mama John, and then we'll talk about that next week.
Bye, everyone.
bye.
Bye.
You know, when you do the readings, are they considered prayers too?
Some of them, yeah,
Okay.
definitely. So we are basically done. We've done, I'm just looking at the homework questions. You should be able to answer all of them, except for, okay. There's a question, what work will we be using for the practice of the 7 ingredients? So that was these guys. It's 1,000 Angels of the Heaven of Bliss, which you should know. That's the Jason Kappa practice. centering around Him. So that's a question in your homework. And that work is in your reading, and it's very beautiful. Then the other question that I wasn't quite sure about, because it was not mentioned in the audio nor in the notes, but the question is, what are the 3 types of vows mentioned in the ingredient of confession? In the reading, there's no vow mentioned, not that I saw anyways, but the answer to that is the vows of freedom, bodhisattva vows, and tantric vows. And I'm not really clear on this, but I was told that, we can do this now, but it'll never come again in any of the courses, so it's not super important.
And that's in relation to confession.
Confession, which, I think part of it has to do with all these vows. They're helping you purify and looking at the things that you do. So I think somehow that must be why. But it wasn't explained, so I won't worry about it too much. But the vows are there to help us become.
Are the freedom vows the 6 times a day book? Is that there?
You can do them.
10 virtues.
10 virtues?
The freedom vows?
Yeah.
The 10 virtues.
Yeah, those are the ones you've been doing.
Okay.
And then the bodhisattva vows you're learning. Yeah, and the tantric vows will come later. Yeah. So we should close up shop. Unless there's any other questions. And thank you for all the offerings, by the way.
Can someone remind me of the hand mandala? Because I've been doing other mudras and now I've forgotten.
So, you cross your pinkies and then you pull them with your thumbs, and then.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it? All right.
Sashi Puki Joshi Meto Tramri Ralinshi Nyandegen Padi Sange Shindu Mite Uwar Hidrokunamba Shimla Chupasho Idam Guratna Mandala Kamina Jayani Diwadi Hemukmu Sunam Yeshe Toktoshin Sunam Yeshe Lejone Damba Kuri Tobasho.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So it sounded like a long list of things, but once you get the hang of it, you can do these preliminaries in 10 minutes. You should be able to just move quickly through them. Quickly, but full on, how do you say? With full awareness. And it's beautiful, and it will warm you up, and it will set you up for a good meditation. Yeah. So we'll prostrate and